to show you another fun, easy recipe. And this is actually a vegetarian recipe. I got a lot of great feedback from the fiber balls post that I did, so I figured I would do another vegetarian themed video. So this is a black bean and quinoa burger recipe, and it's really simple to do. Definitely got to have a food processor. This thing comes in handy so much in the kitchen, so I would definitely recommend getting one if you don't already have one. You can get them pretty inexpensively, but it's great when you're trying to really do some different things and work with some different ingredients, especially when you're trying to do more vegetarian recipes. It really comes in handy. So the first thing that I want to do is get my veggies prepped, and I've got some green onions here that I'm going to go ahead and get chopped up. I'm just going to cut the little tops off and give them a little chop. The next thing I have is 1 carrot already peeled. Just going to give it a rough chop. All this is going to go in the food processor, so I don't have to worry about being too precise with the cuts. I also have a couple cloves of garlic here. Give it a little smash. And like I said, these are going in the food processor, so I don't have to be too precise on the cutting up the garlic. I just want to give the processor a little bit of help, so I'm just giving a little quick rough chop. Now what I have here is some black beans that came in a can, just 1 can. I rinsed and drained them. That's why they're in this little colander, just to get some of the sodium off and that juice that the beans come in. And what I'm going to do is just get about half of these into the processor, or a little more than half. Doesn't have to be too exact. And then I'm going to go ahead and get all of my ingredients in here. And stick this on and do a little processing. Okay, the mixture is starting to come together, but just to help it out a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and add 1 egg to this. Okay, get our egg in. This is going to help bind the ingredients a little more. Put it all. Okay, now the other thing that I'm going to add to this is my quinoa, and it's really simple to prepare, and I'll give you a little tutorial now. Okay, so again, I'm going to put half of this mixture into the bean mixture that's come together really nicely, and it's going to look kind of gross to be honest, but it tastes really good, and that's the important part. Just a bit of a kind of a brown mush, but don't let that scare you. Alright, let's get the top on. Okay, we've got pretty much all the ingredients in there except for the seasoning and the breadcrumb, so I'm going to go ahead and put our seasoning in. I'm using salt-free Mrs. Dash steak seasoning. This has got all kinds of spices in here, herbs. It's just a great all-purpose seasoning, and it doesn't have salt in it, so I'm going to add my own. And I'm going to do about 3/4 of a teaspoon here. Alright. Let's get that in. Everything is blended together perfectly, so I'm going to go ahead and take this off. I'm going to add in the rest of the ingredients that are going to make it all come together. See what I mean? A little bit of brown mush. Alright. So let's get this in here. Hopefully you can kind of see what it looks like. See that texture. So we've got that in, and then I'm going to add in the rest of the quinoa. And I like to keep some of the quinoa not processed as well as the beans, just because it adds a little more texture to the actual burgers, and you can actually see that, okay, there's black beans in here and there's quinoa. So I'm going to get those mixed up in here, and then I'm also going to add in some breadcrumbs. I used a whole wheat fresh breadcrumbs, about 1/4 of a cup, and that's just going to add a little bit more stability to the burgers, and they will come together perfectly. So that's kind of what your mixture is going to look like. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes just to let it chill, and that way it'll come together, and when I form patties out of it, they'll actually stay in their correct patty form. Okay, so while the bean mixture is chilling, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the topping for these bean burgers. I've got 2 avocados, and I'm just gonna get those cut up. This is just a nice, fresh, colorful topping for these burgers. Something a little different, since bean burgers are a little different in general. All right, so I've cut this right in half. Next thing I'm gonna do is take my knife, just hit the little seed just like that, and it comes right out. So once I get the seed out, I'm going to just kind of loosen it right around the edges and just kind of gently pull it out. Should come out perfectly. And then I'll take my knife and just cut it right into cubes. So our avocados are done, and now I'm just going to cut up 1 tomato. This is kind of like a guacamole a little bit, just a real rustic version, really simple. And for this is not a real juicy tomato, so I don't have to squeeze the juice out. Sometimes if I have a real juicy tomato, I'll just squeeze a little bit of the juice and seeds, because those can be a little bitter and kind of watery. But this one is not too juicy, so I don't have to do that. I'm just going to get this cubed up and put in with the guacamole, and we'll be almost done with the topping. So our tomatoes chopped up and going in, and then I'm going to go ahead and get my lime, just cut that right in half. This is a pretty juicy lime, so I'm only going to need 1. If it wasn't, sometimes limes can be a little tough, then I may need to use 2. But get that juice in. Perfect. All right, give this a little mix, and then of course I've got to add a little salt to this. Probably about maybe a 1/4 teaspoon to a 1/2 teaspoon. You can kind of taste it and adjust as you need to. Speaking of, you get a little taste. Very fresh, great flavor, simple. So that's going to be our burger topping. A little different than cheese or lettuce and tomato. Okay, our black bean burger mixture has chilled, and we're ready to go ahead and make the patties. And I'm just going to get a little extra virgin olive oil in here. And I have actually sprayed this little measuring cup with cooking spray. And that way I can just get perfect size little patties just like this. Drop them right in. Kind of smush them down at the bottom. And they're going to be perfect every time. And they'll all cook evenly and be done at the same time. So it just makes it really easy. You don't have to get your hands all messy forming patties. Just put them right in there. And these are actually going to cook for a good 6 minutes on each side. That way all the ingredients really cook through, because remember, we didn't actually cook any of the ingredients we put in here. We just processed them. So that'll kind of get all those ingredients cooked, let them all come together. The bottoms will get browned. And then I'll show you what it looks like when it's all finished. Okay, so our bean burgers have cooked up. They look perfect. Now remember, these are not hamburgers. So if they fall apart a little bit, or they're not as sturdy as you want them to be, you can always add a little more breadcrumbs to the actual batter of the burgers. But just remember that you got to be a little more gentle with them than you do a regular hamburger, obviously. But they're going to taste great. You can do them bunless or with a bun. I'm going to go ahead and assemble one here. Let's get it right on my bun. I'll add some of this delicious topping. It's going to be nice and fresh. Looks so good. I like this because it's summery, it's light, but you can do it any time of the year. You don't have to just do it in the summertime. You can do it, obviously. It's an indoor kind of thing. It's just a nice change. Add a little feta cheese to it if you really want to get wild. Put it on, and that is our delicious black bean and quinoa burger. I'm going to go in for a taste of this. It's really good. There's so much flavor in that. And the seasoning that I added, there's a lot of great flavor. The fresh vegetables, the topping just brightens it up. And of course the feta cheese is the finishing touch. But it's really delicious, and I think that you guys will enjoy it. So have fun.